3 Sri Lankans stranded in international airports brought back home. Army commander asks the public to maintain social distancing while celebrating Aurudu. Millions to mark Good Friday under lockdown. New York deaths increase, but hospital admission falls again.
Good afternoon and welcome to your news. Let's start off with a look at your local news as always. Now 60 people from 3 villages in the PUTTALAM district have been directed for quarantine.
The residents are from Ratmaliyaya, Nagavilluwa and Al-Qasim city. They have been quarantined at Zahira College in PUTTALAM. Health authorities said that these people had maintained contact with some patients affected by COVID-19 in the area. Our correspondent reported that the PUTTALAM health officer, the police and the Sri Lanka Army had taken steps to transport them to the quarantine centre at around 10 p.m.
After 2 people tested positive for the coronavirus in the Al-Qasim area, 94 people belonging to 20 families were ordered to undergo self-quarantine at their homes. Security has been tightened in the PUTTALAM district. Entering or leaving the Kadamayankulam area has been completely prohibited. We can observe that efforts are being made to curb the spread of the virus by enforcing the law strictly.
Now in more local news, Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says that 1,347 people are currently undergoing quarantine across 12 centres. Now the Army Chief, who heads the National Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, said that 3,496 people have returned to their homes upon completing quarantine procedures.
3,496 people have left quarantine centres in total upon completing the quarantine period. There are 1,347 people undergoing quarantine in 12 centres. Among them, 20 are in Jaffna, 47 in Poonani, 537 and 289 in 2 other centres in Poonani, 67 in Diyathalawa, 50 in the Diyathalawa Army Camp, 55 at the Busa Quarantine Facility managed by the Navy, 28 in Oluville, 20 in Atalugama and 107 at Zahira College in PUTTALAM. In addition, 60 doctors and nurses are being quarantined at a hotel in Vaikal.
Now 3 Sri Lankans who were stranded at international airports in Dubai and the Maldives arrived in the island.
Additional Secretary to the President for Foreign Relations, Admiral Professor Jayanath Kolumbage, said 2 of them arrived from Dubai on Wednesday, while the Sri Lankan who was stranded in the Maldives arrived in the country yesterday. He added measures are underway to repatriate the remaining 30 Sri Lankans who are stranded at international airports. He noted that these measures are being carried out while coordinating with embassies, high commissions and consular services in the respective countries. Admiral Professor Kolumbage confirmed that all returnees will be quarantined at designated centres for 21 days.
Now followers of Lord Jesus Christ believe it was on a day like today that Jesus Christ died for the sins of all of mankind. Known as Good Friday, Christians the world over participate in church services to mark this most significant day. Now traders have been severely inconvenienced due to the prevailing situation in the country. This report is about a group from Veligama employed in the pottery industry.
These locals residing in the Kumbalgama area in Veligama earn their living in the pottery industry. This village provides shelter to 25 families. The villagers had produced a large amount of vessels, as every year the demand for these products surged during the New Year season. However, owing to the unexpected situation in the country, these traders have been severely inconvenienced due to their inability to sell their products. We have not received any relief from the government. We request the government to support us and to provide us with some form of relief. We have obtained loans and we have no way of repaying them.
Now the residents of the BULATHKOHUPITIYA Pradeshiya Sabha area are facing a number of issues due to the lack of water.
The BULATHKOHUPITIYA Pradeshya Sabha area consists of 17 electoral wards. The prevalent water issue is seen in 10 of these areas. While the Pradeshya Sabha has taken efforts to provide water via bowsers, the villagers claim that this water supply is insufficient.
We do not have clean water. The level of water is very low. This is the case for a number of villages. If it continues to be dry for the next 10 or 15 days, we will not be able to drink or eat. Our tea estates are all drying. The water levels here have dropped greatly. There is no water in wells either. We do not have sufficient water to drink. We request that the government looks into this and makes an effort to give us a system to obtain water. There is a canal further up. It is from this that all these houses get water. The canal is now completely dry. There is no water. That is why we are struggling. We have identified about 10 wards where people are facing difficulties. As of now, we do not have sufficient resources. The BULATHKOHUPITIYA is a low-income area. However, we are providing water through the National Water Supply and Drainage Board. We have also discussed with the director of the Disaster Management Center for Kegol and made requests to solve this issue by providing us with more bowsers.
As of 11 a.m. today, global figures are as follows. Coronavirus cases stand at 1,605,277, deaths at 95,751 and recovered at 356,925.
Now, as some countries report signs of progress in the coronavirus battle, including the slowing down in the number of hospitalizations in parts of the United States, authorities urged caution and called for continued observance of measures that help contain the disease, as the global death toll inches closer to 100,000 as of today. In New York, deaths increased, but new hospital admissions fell again.
100 Italian doctors have died after contracting coronavirus since the pandemic reached the Mediterranean country in February. A spokesperson said, quote, "The number of doctors who have died because of COVID-19 is 100, perhaps even 101 at the moment, unfortunately," end quote. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved out of intensive care but remains in hospital. Johnson has been receiving treatment for coronavirus at St. Thomas's Hospital in London since Sunday. A spokesperson added that he is in extremely good spirits. Mexico has recorded its first 2 deaths of pregnant women from the coronavirus, as the overall number of fatalities in the country reached 194 from a population of 128.9 million. Mexico's deputy health minister said one of the 2 women gave birth to a son before passing away, noting that pregnant women are highly susceptible to infections caused by the virus. He added, for a short time, the baby boy had respiratory problems and is still delicate. Some 450 inmates and staff have tested positive for coronavirus in the U.S. city of Chicago's largest jail, representing one of the nation's largest outbreaks of respiratory illnesses at a single site so far in the pandemic. The surge of cases at Crook County jails marks the largest flare-up of COVID-19 at jails and prisons in large cities across the U.S., where detainees often live in close quarters. China reported 42 new cases today, 38 of them imported, along with 1 additional death in the hardest-hit city of Wuhan. Another 1,169 suspected cases, or those who tested positive but were not showing symptoms, were being monitored under isolation. China has now reported a total of 81,907 cases and 3,336 deaths from a population of 1.4 billion from the virus. More than 77,000 of those who were infected have recovered. India recorded its biggest spike in a single day yet, with more than 750 new COVID-19 cases yesterday. Bangladesh has locked down a district that houses more than 1 million Rohingya refugees in camps following a sharp rise in cases. Pakistan, whose tally of positive cases has crossed 4,500, has launched a relief package worth more than $860 million to pay its poor and daily wage earners, while hundreds of workers from Nepal continue to be stranded at the border with India, which has closed after both countries imposed a lockdown. OPEC producers and allies have agreed to cut output by more than a fifth to counter the slump in demand caused by coronavirus lockdowns. The group said it would cut output in May and June by 10 million barrels to help prop up price. The cuts will then be eased gradually until April 2022. OPEC Plus, made up of OPEC producers and allies including Russia, held talks via video conference. Talks were complicated by disagreements between Russia and Saudi Arabia.
Now, Sri Lanka's air quality levels improved with the curfew imposed due to COVID-19. According to data provided by the air quality monitor at the US Embassy, Colombo's air quality levels stood at 53 as at 11 a.m. today. This means it has a moderate rating. National Building Research Organization told that the air quality has improved due to the reduction in the movement of vehicles as a result of the current curfew. Now, meanwhile, people in the northern Indian state of Punjab are reacting with awe at the sight of the Himalayan mountain range, which is now visible from more than 100 miles away due to the reduction in air pollution caused by the country's coronavirus lockdown.
Indians in the city of Jalandhar and the surrounding area have posted photos online of the views from their homes, with some saying they haven't seen the peaks of the Himalayas for decades. Air quality and visibility greatly improved in India in April 2020 as the country implemented a nationwide lockdown to combat the COVID-19 coronavirus disease. The phenomenon is made possible by a dramatic improvement in air quality in recent weeks. After industries shut down, cars came off the road and airlines cancelled flights in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Delhi saw up to 44% reduction in the PM10 air pollution level on the first day of its restrictions. The PM10 standard measures airborne particulates 10 micrometers or smaller in diameter. India's Central Pollution Control Board found that in total, 85 cities across India saw less air pollution in the first week of the nationwide lockdown. Meanwhile, the air quality in Jalandhar, which sits more than 100 miles from the Himalayas, has been measured as good on the country's national index for 16 of the 17 days since the nationwide lockdown was announced. The nation has been in lockdown for more than 2 weeks, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi ordering a total ban on venturing out of your homes. Only essential services have been operational, including water, electricity, health and fire services, groceries and municipal services.
Now, can humans transmit the virus to animals and animals transmit the virus back to human beings? Newsfirst spoke to infectious disease specialist Professor Sanjay Senanayaka.
Well, it looks like it can occur. There are documented infections now in 3 dogs and a cat. The cat was in Belgium and apparently it became sick with vomiting, diarrhea and some difficulty breathing. Is this surprising? Well, we know coronaviruses originally came from animals before coming to the human world, so perhaps it's not that surprising. What seems unlikely at this stage is that if an animal becomes infected with COVID-19, that they can infect a human. So that seems unlikely, and therefore please don't think about throwing out your cat or your dog because you're worried that they might give you COVID-19. There is no evidence that they can do so. And is it a very common infection in pets? Well, a company in the US has made a diagnostic test for COVID-19 in pets. They tested it on 4,000 animals and all of them were negative. So it probably isn't very common either.
Now, Sri Lanka's number of COVID-19 cases have risen again. The number of COVID-19 patients in the country rose to 190 after a person was tested positive for the virus yesterday. 7 people have lost their lives thus far. Now, health authorities note that 134 current patients are receiving treatment at hospital. Meanwhile, 242 people suspected to have contracted the virus are under medical observation. The number of recovered patients in the country stands at 49. Now, a program to distribute dry rations for residents of the Temple Road in Maradana took place under the auspices of former national cricketer Farviz Maharouf yesterday.
These dry rations had been distributed upon a request made by the Special Task Force. Meanwhile, a remote-controlled trolley and a bed for the intensive care unit was donated to the Colombo East-based hospital in Mullairiyava. The donation was made by the Engineering Division attached to the Department of Government factory in Kolonnava. The donated items have been valued at 400,000 rupees.
Now, a media briefing was held in Colombo today on Ayurvedic treatment methods concerning COVID-19.
A group of representatives from the Government Ayurvedic Medical Officers Association attended the media briefing. We should clearly state that COVID-19 is not included as a disease in Ayurveda science. However, Ayurvedic books have listed out the methods of treating patients. This disease has been in the country for about 3 weeks. Therefore, we need to monitor the patients closely in order to study the disease. We need to treat them as well. Ayurveda is not a science that is limited to alternate medicines such as ginger, neem or Venivelgator. We are capable of producing medicines based on the patients. We propose all hospitals, Western medicine practitioners and the government that we should join hands in order to save the people from this disease.
Now, Sri Lanka's forex reserves declined by $412.5 million to $7,525 million by the end of March 2020. Meanwhile, with the view of preserving the foreign currency reserve position and minimizing existing pressure on the exchange rate, the Ministry of Finance has issued an order imposing certain measures on outward remittances of capital transactions for a period of 3 months. This order has been issued with the recommendation of the Central Bank and the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers.
Of the general permission granted to make outward remittances for investments overseas, suspend the outward remittances through business foreign currency accounts or personal foreign currency accounts held by persons in or residents in Sri Lanka other than for the remittances on current transactions. Suspend the repatriation of funds under the migration allowance through capital transactions rupee accounts by the emigrants who have already claimed migration allowance. Limit the eligible migration allowance for the emigrants who are claiming the migration allowance for the first time up to a maximum of $30. These restrictions are only applicable to the identified capital transactions and do not impose any restrictions on already permitted current transactions.
Now, the Education Ministry says that the decision to reopen schools for the second term will be made upon the consultation of health officials.
Secretary to the Education Ministry NHM Chitrananda said that the scheduled date to reopen schools for the second term is likely to be extended owing to the current situation surrounding COVID-19. He added that a final decision will be taken in this regard based on advice obtained by health officials. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry said that selected schools will be disinfected before the commencement of the second term. The ministry noted that schools which were used as quarantine centers will also be disinfected.
Now, a program to transport people to pharmacies has commenced in the country. Acting Chief of Defence Staff Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva said that the people will be transported to pharmacies if required. The support of the Sri Lanka Transport Board has also been obtained for this program. A senior officer attached to the Prime Minister's office said that all pharmacies registered with the National Medicines Regulatory Authority have been permitted to remain open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's office has proposed to all pharmacy owners to introduce mobile services in order to sell pharmaceutical products. Now, submissions are still being accepted for the art competition done under Gammedda Nagitimu Sri Lanka endeavour. Paintings received from across the island depicts their vision of future Sri Lanka.
Gammedda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Manulokin mihi bata deviyo Tutuwada gamiyani gammedde Tutuwada gamiyani gammedde Pavasani vannata poradiya kumatada කිසිදු ජල කඳ නැග එයි ඉහළට
කසල ඉවත් කළ ගලන ඇලේදිය
සරු කරවයි කෙත්වතු ගම්බිම්
හෝ සරු කරවයි කෙත්වතු ගම්බිම් අලිවැට ඉදි කර ගැමි දන දිවි රැක
දුරු කර ගැමි සිත රැඳි බිය හා සැක
දුරු කර ගැමි සිත රැඳි බිය හා සැක
මහා පෙරලියක් ඇවිල්ලා මොකද්ද මේ අරුමේ ගැමි යන යාලද උරුමේ
මුළු ගමටම සෙත සතුනේ
සවියයි ගම්මැද්දේ
සවි බලයයි ගම්මැද්දේ
හරි හරි වැඩ ගම්මැද්දේ
වැඩ දහසටු ගම්මැද්දේ
ගම්මැද්ද නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා.
Well, that's a wrap of your lunchtime news. I've been Deshan Gonawala for the Newsfirst team right here at the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. But before we leave you, I want to draw your attention to a special program that we at Newsfirst launched. The Negatimu Sri Lanka theme song was created to inculcate a positive mindset within the people of Sri Lanka. We also invited you, our viewers, to join us in sharing that positivity by singing the Negatimu Sri Lanka theme song, and we received an overwhelming response so far. Let's have a look at the song and proceed to end the news. Have a great day. God bless.
ගම්මැද්ද නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා.